Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I guess we are about to start. So if we can take our seats and get comfortable to get the session started. So you're welcome to our April edition for the technical business meeting, proudly sponsored by Alpharetta. So here I will share with us the expectations for today. I'll run through the agenda, and then based on the agenda, other speakers will come up and progress the day. Okay. So this is how the day will go. We've had time, of course, to have a meet and greet session, register for the conference, for the meeting, so that you can get any follow-up notifications and then summary of the day. After this welcome address by me, Sumime Oguntola, the president-elect will come up and recognize other NAPI, senior NAPI members that are present here with us. Then the president will come up and take his opening remarks. And then the president-elect would come up and then introduce the chairman of today. The chairman will then introduce our speakers. So we have 2 speakers for the day. The title is as listed there. The president-elect will then introduce our panelists after the presentation. So the way the presentation will go is we have 2 presentations, they will run concurrently. Then we will have the panel discussion. The chairman will, of course, lead that panel discussion. Question and answer session will then be followed closely by, will follow closely with the Q&A session that will be done by the chairman and me, the publicity secretary. And then we will have sponsors' remarks. We will also have a session where we will be honoring the Halliburton company for the Train the Trainer event that they did, hosted on our behalf. So announcements will then follow, and then vote of thanks, and then we would have lunch. All of this will be seamlessly delivered, hopefully. So I call on the president-elect, Mrs. Olajumoke Ajayi, to introduce or to recognize NAPI members.
Yes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very sorry we are starting late. My plan was for us to start at 11:15, but we'll do everything possible to ensure that we don't delay you. So welcome to April Technical and Business Meeting. And I'm not only welcoming only those who are here physically present, we have many people online. Thank you for joining. And I personally believe that today's session will be an insightful one. I will also want to recognize our fellows who have taken time to attend today's technical meeting. Here with us in the room, we have Mr. George Osahon, past president of NAPE. He's a BOT chairman. And, I will specially thank him, and I want you to specially clap for him, because the chairman for today's technical meeting was meant to be Dr. Alpharetta. And up till yesterday, or 2 days ago, he still thought that he would be able to, but there was something that came up that he couldn't say no to. He needed to urgently attend to. So we immediately called Mr. George Osahon to sit in for him, and he graciously accepted. So please help me appreciate him once more. Thank you very much, sir, because I know you're a very busy man, and for you to it shows the love you have for NAPE. And I'm not surprised. He's the BOT chairperson of NAPE. Thank you very much, sir. Also in our midst, we have Dr. Andrew Ejai-Rieze, past president of NAPE, a fellow of NAPE. Thank you very much, sir. We also have Dr. Akintunde Karim, fellow of NAPE. Thank you for joining us, sir. We have Mr. Kanu. Thank you, sir, for joining, fellow of NAPE. Online, we have Mr. Alex Tucker, past president of NAPE and also a fellow. Thank you for joining us online. We also have our own Dr. Emmanuel Enu, past president of NAPE, Aret Adam Sawadi, and our AC chairman, also a fellow of NAPE, joining us online. Thank you very much, sir. We have Mr. Joe Ibe, also a fellow of NAPE, online. Thank you, everyone, and all our ESCO members that are either here physically and online. Thank you for joining. And for the ESCOs, I will mention our president. Our president came all the way from Port Harcourt to ensure that he's here today. Thank you very much, my dear president, for making time to attend. I also have Mr. Ajibola here with us, our past president and fellow of NAPE. Can you please... Let's recognize you. Yeah, thank you very much. So I will keep recognizing our fellows and ESCOs as they join us both physically and online. I wouldn't want to take too much of your time. Thanks once again for being here. And we try as much as possible to fast track everything we'll do here today so that we don't take too much of your time. So at this point, I'll call on our president, Mr. John Bosco Uche, to come to give us his welcome remark. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President-elect. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to formally, first, on behalf of committee members, but also join in that I know it's not a privilege we typically have all the time. I usually say on behalf of the committee members and the Board of Trustees and the Advisory Council to welcome you. But you can see today, we've got every leader of these arms of NAPE joining the technical meeting for this month. We have the BOT chairman here, Mr. George. We have the AC chairman online, Dr. Enu, and then myself leading the ESCO. So you cannot get it better than we're having it. So we really jointly welcome you formally to the month of April technical and business meeting. This is what we continue to do every month. And our promise to you is to ensure that we continue to provide the knowledge that we need in the industry to continue to find oil and gas in a sustainable manner. And today, we're exactly going to be doing that. I'm sure the speakers and the sponsors will be introduced, but we've been pushing so hard very recently. And by the way, just to let you know that, I don't know if I mentioned it last month, August this year, NAPE is going to be 50 years in August this year. And for that reason, we're going to be celebrating it big time as a Golden Jubilee. The committee has been working so hard, led by our own Jide Fashino of NUPRC, and many of you here, some not here. And earlier this morning, we had a media party with the media just to talk about the NAPE at 50 and other things we're doing. And based on the interaction we had, it was all around also pushing and advocating for the indigenous companies to begin to drive this industry. And that will be one of our key messages at that anniversary in August, where we will set the future for the next 50 years. We're going to be looking back to say, well, in the last 50 years, we've done quite well, but it has largely been with the IOCs, the international oil companies. But going into the future, it will largely be with indigenous companies. And I'm quite excited that today, the sponsor and the speaker for the technical meeting, it's going to be one of those indigenous companies, making us proud with the skill set that we have in this country. And that's what we're going to continue to push. So all I can ask you is to relax, enjoy the session, and also be part of the advocacy that we're pushing, because we believe that the capacity to drive the energy future of this country, that we in this room, our members in NAPE, has what it takes to drive to that future. And for us in NAPE, we'll continue to provide the platform. This technical meeting is one of it. Our conferences, one of it. We have the mini conference for the students, the university community also in August. I think the last week, 26th, 30th of August. The NAPE at 50 I already mentioned, and the conference. And various other chapter technical meetings will continue to use those platforms to drive the agenda, because we're the biggest professional body to lead, and others are going to be following. So on that note, without much ado, I really want to welcome you again formally and ask that you relax till the end. Enjoy the session, but also make sure you ask the very difficult questions for our speakers today. And I'm sure they will provide the answers that will help this industry to move forward. On that note, I will say thank you once more, and then we'll then move into the next agenda, a president-elect for the intro of the chairman. Thank you very much once more.
Thank you, my president. Yeah, so before I read the profile of our chairman, I want to specially thank the sponsor of today's event, Alpharetta. Thank you very much. This is the first time they will be sponsoring any NAPE event, so let's appreciate them. So I want to introduce our chairman by reading his profile. Mr. George Osahon is the Managing Director of GeoConcept Technical Limited, an oil and gas consultancy. He's also the chairman of Energia Energies Limited. He was recently appointed a member of the body of neutrals for the NUPRC's Alternate Dispute Resolution Center, ADRC, that handles cases of disagreements involving upstream operators. George is a highly respected geologist with over 40 years of experience in Nigeria's oil and gas sector, spanning roles in operations, service provision, and regulation. He's a graduate of geology from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, 1974. He began his career at the National Steel Development Authority before joining the Nigerian National Oil Corporation, NNOC, which later became NNPC. In 1980, he earned a master's degree in petroleum geology from Imperial College London. He later served as Chief Operating Officer at Allied Energy Corporation, where he played a pivotal role in growing the company from inception into a 7,000 barrels per day oil producer. He was the MD of MPDC and later became the GGM of the then NAPIMS and retired from NMPC Group in year 2009. From 2013 to 2015, George served as the director of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, now NUPRC, under the Petroleum Industry Act. He's a fellow and past president of the Nigerian Association of Petroleum Explorationists, NAPE. George now chairs its board of trustees. He's also a fellow of Nigerian Mining and Geoscience Society, NMGS, and a member of the American Association of Petroleum Geologists, AAPG, further cementing his legacy as a leader in geoscience and petroleum exploration in Nigeria. Please, can we please give him a round of applause? You will agree with me that we don't have, I think we can't have it, we didn't have it wrong by having him as some of the person standing in for Dr. Lai Fatono at today's technical meeting as the chairman for this session. Thank you very much, sir. Please kindly come up to introduce the speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, madam. Okay, we are having two speakers. Then we're having a panel that will have a number of members. I think the president is also going to join the panelists. But let me start by introducing the speakers from Alpharetta. I'm going to start with Mr. Bade. Is it Bade? Is it doctor or chief or Mr.? Mr. Okay, fine. Then followed by Mr. Nick Simmister. Mr. Nick Simmister is in the UK. He's going to join us virtually, that is online. Mr. Bade Olotu is the Chief Operating Officer of Alpharetta. I didn't say Alpha Beta. Alpharetta Energy Services International Limited. Chief Operating Officer, he leads the Well Project Management Services, short-term oil generation planning, and equipment rentals, helping operators maximize value from existing assets. His career includes senior leadership roles at OMV Petron, BP, Centrica Energy, Shell, where he managed well delivery streams, pioneered casing drilling technology, and optimized well operations through innovative interventions. Bade is a recognized expert in well reactivation, sidetracks, and production enhancement, successfully led strategies to extend field life and improve recovery rates. His expertise spans contract negotiations, drilling performance. He holds an executive MBA distinction in strategic management and entrepreneurship and is currently pursuing a doctorate of business administration, DBA in SME entrepreneurship at the University of Lagos. Clap for the man. I'm going to read the resume of Nick Simmister. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Then after that, Mr. Olotu will join us and make his presentation. Nick Simmister, GM of Cavitas Energy Limited. Nick is an oilfield technology expert with over 9 years of experience in thermal recovery and production enhancement. As GM of Cavitas Energy, he has played a key role in developing advanced flow assurance solutions, including THOR tool, THOR tool, a cutting-edge downhole thermal heat recovery systems for marginal and mature fields. In this session, Nick will showcase the THOR tool's real-world application, demonstrating how it enhances flow rates, reduces operational costs, and overcome production bottlenecks in heavy oil fields. That's all. Clap for Mr. Nick. You probably won't see Mr. Nick online now because, excuse me, Wato is in a meeting. He's going to join us very shortly. So if that's all, then I would like to call Mr. Olotu to please make his presentation. In my place, Olotu is a settler, so I have to wait for him.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. And it's my pleasure to be here to talk to you. And I will be talking about how to tap into hidden values with existing assets that are present in some of our marginal fields. Yes, so my topic will be unlocking hidden value, maximizing return from existing wells in marginal and mature field. A quick introduction of our company. Essentially, we are a wells project management company. We support marginal field operators to deliver their well projects. We also have other services that we render. We provide wireless services with OEM support. We also provide some rig services, helping operators to purchase and manage rigs. And then we have an equipment rental business segment. I'd like to quickly show some of our principal officers for the company. So my humble self and some of our top management leadership team. Now, when we said, so the marginal field landscape in Nigeria has changed. It's changed, you know. A whole lot of the assets in land, in swamp, and shallow offshores, they are with indigenous marginal field operators now. So that's come with a shift in strategic focus, you know. So we are trying to now focus more on how to reduce capex totally, and then move into OPEX efficient reactivation of existing wells. So most of the marginal field come with some existing assets. Yeah, some of them. So how do we now start from them, you know, optimizing the values we get from them? And when I talk about hidden values, you know, I'm talking of untapped residual reserves in old wells, some idle infrastructures like wellhead, flow lines, and separators, then stranded productions due to mechanical issues in most of the wells, and of course, abundant opportunity to improve efficiencies. So why is this very important now? Funding for most of the marginal operators are limited, so they need to be efficient with capital utilization. So it's important that we pay attention to this. So in terms of an abandoned well, for instance, a suspended well, what value can we look to get from it? I've itemized some of the values here, but I won't go through it one by one. But number one is a quick way to your first oil. So unless there's a technical reason why you can use it, it's a good place to start from. Yeah, it's a good place to start from because it will be cheaper eventually. We've seen cases where the placement of the well is suboptimal. There's some complexity around it. For instance, some of our shallow offshore wells, they have mudline suspension systems. It costs a whole lot of money to reuse the asset. That can be understood, but it must be analyzed up to a decision point. But for most of the land and swamp assets, and even some of the offshore assets, I'll show you some examples later, a starting point will be a conscious investigation of the possible use that we can put the existing asset to. is aligned with this regulatory drive, to get value from existing assets. It also provides some quick values in terms of commercial activities for businesses in our local communities. And like I said, we can put them to use for various means. Water injection wells, we can turn them to producer wells, we can turn them to waste disposal wells. So some of the key levers that we need to consider in terms of how do we put this asset to use. For instance, reservoir surveillance, we can use them if we have access to them to collect additional data to supplement what we have to build all our models. Data scarcity or unavailability, if you like, is one of the major issues we have with the marginal feed operators. In terms of the feed that we have, some of the data are incomplete, some are missing, some are not even available. So, and the more data you have to build your models and do your simulations and your engineering, the better for your outcome. So preliminary data to supplement what you already have can be quickly achieved, and then you can do your modeling properly. Okay. We can use the well for completion, re-entry, sidetracks, like we said. Okay. And then some infrastructures that are already on surface, it can be cheaper to repair and revitalize some of them. So in the Niger Delta, we do have some realities that we need to bear in mind. Yeah. One of them is the terrains where we operate. For instance, access into the swamps. Some of the access roads into some of these assets are really bad. They can be capital intensive to repair. Some of them are seasonal in our ability to assess them. Then there's the HSSC community interface issues, which is getting much, much better now. And then, of course, we have some regulatory and fiscal considerations to cope with. And I did mention about information, availability of enough information for some of our old existing assets. So I want to take a step to a pause here to speak about the value of information for data. So the lesson there is that even for the current project, sometimes, a project that is just a year, 2 years old, to revisit it and streamline all the information we have, sometimes it's even difficult. So I think it's a culture we need to encourage ourselves to be sure that we keep data properly, adequately, and in a form that can be easily retrieved and preserved. So some of our older wells is a challenge to get data on them. Without data, we can't do proper modeling or make informed decisions. Okay, these are some of the challenges I've identified in terms of using old assets in the Niger Delta. So logistics constraints, I've touched on that. We have our mobilization and intervention costs compared to some other oil and gas countries. We've spoken about limited subsurface data on our old wells. Then our maintenance, culture for some of these assets needs to be improved. Some of them are in very bad states. Yeah. We have regulatory compliance that put pressures on the marginal feed operators. The community disruptions is a lot better now. We are working together more as a team now. There's a financing constraint, as you know. Some of the current marginal feed operators are struggling in that dimension. And this number 8 particularly, we might need structure from the regulator around that. I think the adjacent feed owners, the various marginal feed operators, they can collaborate better in sharing some resources, in sharing some of the existing assets. Yeah, I think that's important. And the regulators can facilitate that in some ways. Okay. Okay, I did look at what other sectors, other countries and oil and gas sectors have done regarding the use and the way they structure businesses and industries around existing assets. And I came up with this table. So I think I won't go through it one by one, but the main message here is that because there's a conscious effort to think about what use we can put existing assets into, is now springing forth some business activities. For instance, technology. People are now deliberately researching into technology to enhance the values we get from existing assets. For instance, the Tor tool that Nick will speak about, it can help you to deal with issues you might be having with existing assets in terms of wax production or your heavy oil production. Yeah, I know of a company, Impact Fluid Solution, Ayobami is here. They are generating chemicals, all kind of production chemistries, research that can help values that we get from existing assets. In Nigeria now, we need to consciously also think in that dimension, and it will now generate specific industry target business activities. And there might be legislative or regulatory push for it. Example that came to my mind is the well examination push in the UK by the regulators. Wells that are above certain level of predetermined complexity have to go through a well examination system. And that springs up a whole lot of business activities around that regulatory decision. So we need a conscious support to establish framework that industries and business activities around abandonment, re-entries, and all that can think of. I'd like to give one or two examples that we have been involved with and the way we've been able to add some values to the operator. This particular well is a land well. It's been totally abandoned, buried 40 feet below the surface. And we even have to go in with a metal detector to identify it. We excavate to this stump that you see. We cut it up and open it up, install a casing patch and raise it back to the floor level, install a wellhead, went in there, did a sidetrack from it, and completed the well as a dual completion well. Is on now producing. So this is one way we can add value using existing assets. So this is another well in a swamp. It's also been abandoned. It's the first well in the field. It was an exploratory well. So we went in, did some wellhead work repair, went back in and complete the well for the operator. It's also ready to be to produce now. This is the third well. It's a land well. And so we went in, did the well repair as well, went in, cleaned out the abandonment plugs and breach plugs in the well, got some data and evaluation done, and the well is complete as a dual producer and is doing around 3,000 barrels of oil per day right now. We have a couple of ongoing work that involves similar work. This is a well as it is, and believe me, we will get value out of it. Preliminary work has started now, so we will repair this wellhead, reinstate it to serviceable level, and move a rig in there to do a sidetrack, potentially a sidetrack from it. This is another well. This is actually a HPCP well, a high pressure, high temperature well. So it's been reevaluated now, working jointly with the OEM to provide a customized solution to renovate this wellhead and then go in with a rig to do a sidetrack from the existing well. So I've given you examples of swamp and land, even offshore. You know, sorry, 1 minute. This is another example in a swamp environment. It's ongoing right now. We're currently doing the wellhead repair work. And in offshore environment as well, the same thing is also happening. So that is some of the value we've been able to add in this space. So takeaway for us is that using your existing asset can take us to faster oil for marginal feed operators. It can turn out to be lower cost per barrel and even at reduced technical risk because you're already using part of the existing well infrastructure. It can have significant impact on your capex and you get value from your existing wells, okay? So integration is key, working together as a team. Yeah, so it has to be informed, fit for purpose intervention strategies with experience and the right technologies. And then it has to be very agile execution in terms of modular units and approach to it. So there, of course, there have to be disciplined control of cost to ensure the commercial viability of the approach. So in terms of the advantage for us as a business in the Niger Delta, it will generate other business activities and industries. A whole lot of services will spring up around it, and then it will lead to more buoyant industry for all of us. So in conclusion, essentially is the best way to start. We will need all hands on board to do it. There might be some roles for regulators in coordinating it and establishing some framework where technology, industry, and research around specific services that focuses on re-entry and reuse of existing assets can thrive. I think that's all from me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bade Olotu, for that excellent presentation. So now we'll go into panel discussion. I'll call our chairman back to the stage. Sir, Mr. George Osaho, kindly come up to the stage, sir. So we have a panelist. I'll be reading out his bio. Dr. Bernard Ebere Bernard is Chief Production Seismologist and Geophysicist at Seplat Energies. Dr. Bernard is a distinguished geoscientist and energy leader with over 20 years of exceptional experience across the oil and gas industry. Also hydrogeology, defense intelligence, and international sports. With advanced degree in geology and geophysics, including a PhD from the University of Lagos, he combines academic excellence with real-world expertise. From serving as a Special Forces military geologist with the Nigerian Army to leading high-impact exploration and production projects across top energy firms, Dr. Bernard as a Chief Production Seismologist and Geophysicist at Seplat Energies has consistently delivered innovation, and results has seen him spearhead complex reservoir studies, optimize field production, and mentor multidisciplinary teams. Renowned for his strategic thinking and technical depth, Dr. Bernard is also a black belt martial artist and national hero, having earned Nigeria's sole victory at the 2024 World Veteran Judo Championship in Las Vegas. His career is a testament to excellence, resilience, and leadership across disciplines. So join me in welcoming Dr. Bernard to the table. So Mr. Bade Olotu should also join on the stage so that we can discuss the presentation you just made. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're very welcome. Sorry, I think the person that was supposed to make the other presentation is busy somewhere. Hopefully he might be able to join us, but if he doesn't, we'll continue. So let me give you a summary of what I thought I heard from the last paper, talking about hidden values from existing infrastructure, existing wells, especially for marginal field operators. According to him, you cannot ignore such a thing because by definition, a marginal field is one that has made the discovery. Now, whether the discovery is the trouble or not, it's a different matter entirely, but at least you're sure the reserves are there. It could be small, it could be big. But according to him, there are so many advantages in going for that first before you go and drill a brand new well, which is an example of what has happened in parts of the industry where people got marginal fields and they went straight to go and drill brand new wells. According to him, there are so many advantages. First and foremost, you reduce your footprint by going to an existing well. Two, you minimize your issues, which you are going to have anyway with the communities, so that it is the existing community that has to do with the wells or well that is there that you're going to deal with. Then cost issues, you reduce your cost in terms of just going there to drill a brand new well, which I don't even sure whether it's going to get something or not. You minimize your technical risk. And there's operational efficiency also by going into something that you know is there and is sure. Then there's additional data collection from that well, which you can then go to use in planning new wells. Then, of course, you have a guinea pig, which you can use for any new technology input. So because of this, go for an existing well, and I showed us several examples, both land, offshore, swamp, which has yielded a lot of dividend for those who re-enter the wells. I hope I summarized it well. Thank you very much. So we're going to go into the panel session. If you have any questions, comments, queries, if any, then you give it to us. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, we are going to discuss the topic first, so I heard. So let's give the original presenter 2 minutes to summarize what he's presented for those of us who are not particularly well schooled in that area, especially like me, so that we fully understand what he's talking about. Then people can ask questions. Then we have Dr. Bernard. Is that the man? Okay. I need to step back a little bit because he's a judo expert. Yeah, you have to be careful about that. Okay. I don't like anecdotes, but let me say this. When I joined NNPC way back in '76, I then took an excuse from my boss, Mr. Orife, that I wanted to go to Algeria for a judo competition because I was nominated as one of the people who haven't done judo in Jos. He looked at me and said, "So what did you just say?" I said, "I'm going for a judo competition." He said, "Do you know that there's a world of difference between judo and oil?" It's either you go for the judo and don't come back, or you stay here and work. That was the end of my judo. Seriously. I was going to Algeria. I was very excited. Lucky man. You're welcome, sir. So I'm going to give the mic to the former presenter. Thank you, sir. Oh, you have a mic.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Okay, so from the examples I've shown, maybe I'll just go through some lessons that I can say we've learned over the years trying to do these services. Number one is it has to be a structured, informed decision. So you come into the field, you have an existing well there, and like I said, usually you don't have enough information, but from what you have, you need to assess, number one, is there really any value from the asset? So one example is the placement of the well itself within the reservoir. Is it optimally placed to get value from it? So if you can tick that off, then you go into integrity envelope of already existing infrastructure. If at all you need to produce, do you have the integrity to handle the expected production loads in terms of pressure and all that? So, and then of course, the starting point is also the well length. Can it be revamped? Can it be retrofitted with something new that can work for us? If you tick all this up, if you now enter, what do you have there to do? So with all this work, identify, you have to come up with a cost estimate for it. And then, of course, you now need to benchmark with expected value from your target reservoirs that you can assess with the asset. Is there going to be enough production to support the cost you are going to spend to revamp this asset? So once you work these economics, and like I said, very regularly for most of the wells, it will tick the box for you to be able to use it rather than do a new well. So in our working with some of the shallow offshore, 2 of them now, we've had a decision where we decided not to proceed with the existing asset. And that's basically following the process I just identified to you. There's a particular case where they have a multi-line suspension system I was referring to earlier. We don't even have enough data on it. We don't know what type it is. So there have to be an off-front activity to move in some marine services to explore and get more information on the type of well it is. They're working with the OEM of what we suspected it is for the running tool to raise it back to surface and all that. It's all obsolete and unavailable. And then also the well itself, from the information that are available, is not optimally placed for drainage in the reservoir. So if you go in with that, that's why that it will be cheaper than a new well. The production you might get from it might not support the economics of your investment. So after all the analysis, it was structurally documented and the engineering report produced around it. Our recommendation was to exploit drilling a new well. But from the examples I've shown you for some of the land and swamp and one of the offshore, it was way cheaper. It comes to about maybe 40, 50% of what they will have used to drill a new well to take them to first oil. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I would like to latch on what the speaker just said now with respect to unlocking hidden values in marginal field and mature asset. Of course, most of the marginal fields we have hold a lot of values, and at times I found why asset owners who want to rush into drilling new wells or acquiring seismic. What you want to do first is to understand what you have at hand. I believe in this philosophy of moving from known to unknown. In reality, we have seen cases where by just after validating the integrity envelope of existing wells, you go down, you just do recompletion, and before you know, you are producing 2,000 barrels of oil per day. And of course, by virtue of that, you have the levity, the opportunity to carry out various analyses that will help you gain more insight about the field, the reservoir, the type of crude, and the best way to optimize production. So it is always important, to tick the box systematically. Again, there are always challenges, and one of the key areas of challenge I see in this legacy asset is in data paucity, which the speaker actually cited during his speech. It's very difficult because most of these data were acquired like 60 years, 100 years ago. At times, you can't even find those data. If you say you want to correlate wells, suddenly you will see 2 or 3 wells as outliers. And until you understand the framework, the geologic framework, you will not be able to know what you have. And if you don't know what you have, you cannot forecast what you're going to get in the next 10 years. And that is going to inform even how you develop the field going forward. Maybe I will pause a while and let's take some comments. Thank you.
Okay, comments, questions?
Good afternoon. So my question spans through well intervention and integrity, also just your workover technologies. So the first question is, what are the best practices for cost-effective well re-entry or site tracking in depleted fields? Should I go again? What are the best practices for cost-effective well re-entry or site tracking in depleted fields? So that's my first question. Then my second is, what risk mitigation strategies should be in place when performing workovers in fields that requires well integrity?
Thank you very much. In terms of the best method to use for workovers, it has to be case-by-case basis. Because the peculiarities, the full dynamics around each well can be different from well to well. For instance, we have one of the wells, is a land well, but it's seasonally flooded. So when we went in, the well had suffered more significant damage than what you would have expected from terrains that is totally dry. So you have to now look at what is best for it. For instance, when we gain access into the well bore and you run your case integrity log, for instance, and you interpret it, so and you now look at the safety margin that you have compared to the loads you expected from your operations, and the window and all that would determine some of the approaches or the precautions or the technologies that you would prefer in carrying out your intervention. So that's on that. In terms of the risk, you have to have a structural risk assessment. You have to carry that out before you start your work. And you need to categorize your risk. So fundamentally, you will go in to intervene, but then you will put the asset into service when you start production. So your risk assessment should cover the whole spectrum of your intervention activities to bring the well back up to production, and this production life of the well itself. So, and you focus on pressure control, leaks, safety of your personnel and all that. So we have a structured risk assessment process around this, where it's multidisciplinary, it involves all parties, and we now categorize the risk into crucial, major, minor, and we develop contingency plans around them that everybody needs to sign up to. Yeah, but the major thing is the aging asset itself. Your anticipated loads, that asset must be able to withstand it. So it has to be an engineering approach. I don't know if that answers your question. Thank you.
Let me just add here that beyond just sidetracking when you're dealing with those kind of aging fields, one major issue is depletion, and that has to do with pressure. So the pressure is going to drop, and you'll be unable to flow your crude. In most cases, what you do is to see how you can come up with a vertical lift, like gas lift, to help you get the crude to the surface. Again, that means you need to leverage on compressors. What if you don't have compressors? We are talking about marginal fields now. If you don't have gas compressors, there are some technology you can deploy, like the GLCCs, gas cylindrical cyclone system, that helps you, instead of flowing the gas, you take it through the GLCC, extract the liquid from it, and then inject the gas back into your reservoir, and that way you'll be able to bring your oil to the surface. I don't know whether that helps.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I would like to get a clarity in area of the engineering and the economics of pre-assessing old wells using modern tools of AIoTs. Is it actually realistic based on previous professional practices and the introduction of this technology? Can we actually have a comparative assessment for the reality of it? Thank you.
You are referring to Internet of Things, yeah? Okay. The main thing is your technology you apply needs to be focused. It needs to be focused, it needs to be targeted and able to achieve what you intended to achieve. So the peculiar problem you're trying to solve, just throwing technology at it for the sake of it will not work. It has to be cost effective and achieve the intended result. I agree the intended result might be beyond just production. For instance, data. We've said if you have to re-enter a well and you have a significant data gap, you must use the opportunity to design a robust data acquisition program to complement the gaps that you have. So I won't benchmark the technologies, I won't rank them, but I will say it needs to be an informed decision which technology you use. But permit me to mention that this thing we are discussing here might even go beyond the marginal field. I was trying to get the statistics on the numbers of abandoned wells, even for all operators that we have in the Niger Delta or suspended wells. I don't have the exact figure, but I know there will be in thousands. So if we consciously process the fact that we can get a whole lot of value from them, it will jumpstart new industries for us. It will jumpstart new business activities for us in terms of technology, in terms of, value-adding services. An example is the abandonment businesses in the North Sea, for instance. When abandonment becomes the prevailing and the prevalent thing in the North Sea, a whole lot of business activities, industries, sectors, they spring up around it. I did mention about chemical solutions. We have representatives in the room now. They're coming up with innovative ideas. The tour that Nick was meant to speak on is to help, in dealing with wax and paraffins and lifting heavy oils. So a whole lot of opportunity for new businesses to spring up as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Bade. You just took the word off my mouth. I was going to ask you if you've seen the list of abandoned and suspended wells in the Delta. The company that I work for, I've seen it. At least I've seen that, and it's huge. It's unbelievable. Many of them you can't even imagine, the level of, how covered with thick forest and all kinds of things. And I believe if you take it company by company, it shouldn't be less than 3,000 as a whole. And based on what you've done, I believe these are quick wins really for the industry. And it's going to open up a lot of job opportunities also for the younger ones, apart from improving the business of the oil and gas and increasing our reserves at the end of the day. I was going to ask you, what should we be telling NUPRC? Maybe we need to take a message as an association, Mr. President. Maybe we need to take a serious message to NUPRC as part of our advocacy, really. Let's have a whole list of all these wells and then begin to look at what can be done, really. Because it's not, resources have been put into those wells, even though, yeah, they are old. Just like you said, we can always bridge the gap if you identify a particular well that has a data shortage. Many of the wells were drilled on 2Ds and all of that. And then if you need to do a 3D reacquisition and quickly go in, yeah, of course, definitely. But from your examples, I would still also suggest, again, even from your examples, you probably need to also demonstrate, if allowed by your employer, or the company that you are doing that for. Let's even see the data, the raw data, the geology, the G&G data as presented, and even before you go for, because a lot of people may not understand the fact that you just did not go into the wells and you started to do sidetrack and all that. There are a lot of other things that have gone on there before you. So I would suggest to NAPI, really, we need to do an advocacy along this path, asking the industry, the regulator, let's have a whole list of these. Let's have the one from Shell. Shell alone may even be more than 3,000. Not to talk of Total Energies or Renaissance, as the case may be now, and Seplat. So that would be my advice and suggestion to Mr. President and the executive. let's have an advocacy, maybe a one-on-one conversation with NUPRC, and let's throw this open. And thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your presentation. I'll take it from where Ajibola stopped. I have a comment and a question for you. The issue is that we have to deal with the people issues as well. Yes, this well were abandoned. If we take the trail, you see that most of the people that actually abandoned the well, some of them are in the marginal fields now. So there are some mindsets. So we need to debug that mindset, first of all, for them to believe that there is value in these abandoned wells. I know some of the early marginal fields, instead of doing this work, a lot of them actually went to start drilling some new wells because that's what they were used to in doing from the companies that they were coming from, okay? Rather than take a look back, it's easier to drill a new well. It's easier, I take it to seismic now, to shoot a new seismic, rather than take the old seismic and maybe do a reprocessing with a new technology to get some additional value from it. So there must be a lot of education so that people can change their mindset and be receptive, because you can meet some resistance too. I'm talking from experience, even with some of these marginal fields. If the man that is in charge there does not buy in what you are trying to sell, it might be difficult. So we need to educate them to see the value in it. The other one quickly I want to ask is, what is your failure rate so far? I know you talk about the successes. I like looking at failures too. Most times when you drill an exploration well that is not successful, you don't have too many friends. Okay, but my experience has shown that as a geologist, that's where you learn most of the lessons. And the one that you drill and you make the finds, everybody clap in hand, they look at the results and you walk away. You don't do much. So have you had any case where, for example, you've done all the assessment, you go in to do the work, and you did not see what you expected? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy you touch on people issue, because we've seen situations where an operator ran to drill a new well, but then for some reason it was misplaced in the reservoir. So it took them to take a step back, reassess things, and now went back to an existing well to sidetrack from it, and they were able to get some values. So people, but that's the purpose of this kind of forum, to discuss it and make us realize the opportunities from it. And thank you for your comment about the number of wells. I think we need a central repository of it, and maybe a bullet point of what are the main issues with each well. And then we can now group them. That's what I've seen done somewhere in Eastern Europe, where I used to work. They group them into categories, the easy ones and the complex ones, and they were selling assets from one operator to the other. For instance, if it's my asset and you have value for it, you come and operate it, and then we share the benefit from it. So in terms of failures, there's no well we've gone into that we didn't eventually get value from it. If we think we will not get value from our engineer analysis, we will recommend otherwise from going into it. But what we've had is where we went in and we met some surprises. I'll give you an example. One of the wells, they have fishing hole, perforation guns, they were in the wells, and there was no documentation of it. There was no any information on it. So we went in and then we met it. We have to deal with it. It took longer than we planned. It cost a bit more money than we planned, but that's one example. Another one, we went in, we met slick lines, roll and roll of it in the well. We didn't see any information about it before we went in. There's another one, we went in, we have to pull the existing tubing. Okay, it's hold, we're conscious of it, we plan to pull it in a structured way. But the moment we pick it up, it parted into 3 or 4 places. So we have to make 2-3 runs to fish them out before we can gain access. One of the wells I showed you, we met a breech plug. You know, we started drilling it dropped and sit on a cement plug. As we were trying to drill it, was spinning. It took us 2 trips or so to break it into pieces, but we eventually get value. So we do have cases like that we went in and then we met some things that we didn't envisage, and then we have to deal with it. I don't know if that answers your question, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Standing on the existing protocol. The question that has been going on in my mind, thank you for the presentation, that's been going on in my mind is, what about if you encounter maybe a marginal field that was straddled, you know, because some of these fields are actually abandoned by some operators because issue of unitization, straddling fields usually discourage people. So when you encounter such wells, or maybe marginal or matured, how do you handle this? Thank you.
Let you answer that. She's asking about unitization when the field straddled multiple.
I was asked to answer that question. I don't know why. Okay, so let's look at it this way. First and foremost, when you get a marginal field, you make up your mind what you want to do with it. I haven't seen too many marginal fields that were given out and provision made for unitization. Generally speaking, no. They first allocate the thing to you. Then it's your responsibility to know whether there's a cause or reason for unitization or not. But if I were in your position, you give me a marginal field, the first thing I want to do is to go into it, re-enter it, just like he has said, get the hidden values. The NUPRC, alias DPR those days, will tell you whether there's reason for unitization or not. But that shouldn't scare you. I know that because of the way we do things, it might not be the best way to look at it because of your value, your money, and so on and so forth. But you are in this earthly world. Go ahead and do it anyway. What you will need to do, which I am imploring operators to do, is always talk to the NUPRC about having an ombudsman to look at the issue of unitization. Now, if you go to them, they will tell you, okay, we've made up our mind. It's this person that we operate. It's this person that has this. Appeal to them that you need a neutral company, maybe, probably even a foreign company. I'm not insulting anybody here, but maybe a foreign company so that there are no affiliations, there's no conflict of interest, there's nothing, to look at it and give you an idea of who owns what. But that shouldn't be a reason why you should not go into your asset. That's my response, madam.
Thank you so much, sir. Shagun from DJ Connect Nigeria Limited. I just have a question, and the question goes thus. Considering complex structural framework, or where we have a complex stratigraphy, what would be your recommendation as a seasoned professional in this field? A re-entry or a new drill? Thank you.
When you say complex, I know that the challenge that a complex structure will give you for a re-entry is still there even for a new drill. Yeah, if I'm getting it wrong, somebody needs to correct me. If I have a feed that is highly compartmentalized, for instance, fractured, compartmentalized and all that, whether it's a new well, I'm doing re-entry, that structure concern is still there. So, and it can make things very difficult sometimes. I do realize that. So if you have that, I think the best thing is whatever you need to do. I'm just thinking now, the starting point will be to refine that model. The more you know it, the more you understand it, the more you are able to make informed decisions in terms of trajectory, your drainage, strategy, and all that. So whatever you need to do to enhance your information to refine that model will be useful. And then when you now have that, for instance, if you have a highly compartmentalized reservoir, you can think horizontal, for instance. Your approach will be to drill in such a way that you traverse as much compartment as possible and all that. I think that's the much I will say about that.
Again, when you start talking about complexity, at times it's not strictly structural, it might be stratigraphic. And experience has shown that across Nigeria, especially in the relatively shallow reservoirs, you have fluvial data system where you have complex stratigraphy, such that you can drill in one compartment, you find hydrocarbon, in the other compartment, it's all wet. So what I would say in these cases, you have a well, that well has proven hydrocarbon. All you need to do is to validate what you have in the well by way of maybe testing to know the rate for a marginal case like you put it. So if you know that, you can start to look at whether you can get a quick win, maybe what I call a low-hanging fruit. Can I complete that well and start making like 1,500 or 1,000 barrels of oil per day? Then you go back to the drawing board, which is you go back to your geology and geophysics to really understand the internal architecture of your reservoir. That will not help you in maybe optimizing value in the field, not just the well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bade, Olotu, our speaker. And let me also say thanks, the past president, Jibola. Your challenge is also well noted in terms of engaging the NUPRC. But before I make a few comments, let me also, on the back of what you said, Jibola, to mention that it's even beyond abandoned wells, right? When we met the special advisor to the president in January during the Kosi visit, we raised the issue of unappraised fields as well. And she was very quick to say, yes, anything that was going to bring quick value, the government should be able to support it. So it's not about pushing the boundary, engage the people like NUPRC to push it. But why I even mentioned the unappraised discovery is that most often, in the past, most of these IOCs, why they did not appraise is because the exploration well did not find big volumes, which is good for the indigenous marginal field operators. And that's why they abandoned it. So what it then means is that as we are putting efforts in trying to re-enter those abandoned wells, we should equally put the same equal strength and efforts for appraising the discovered fields. Because it's only when you do your appraisal that you probably get the much extent of what you have. So that's one comment I want to make. Now, the second point I want to make as well is that I think Dr. Andrew mentioned it around processing. I know this is my area. This is also where I have passion, and I'm sure, Bernard, you probably share that with me. What I want to say is that we need to, in my mind, push the boundaries beyond re-entry. And yes, do the processing, but also acquiring new seismic. And why I'm saying so is that the value that you have in those marginal field assets, I think they're highly undervalued. Because we are using old seismic that were acquired in the 90s, largely 90s, not even 2000. And if you look at it, short offset cable, it's a brick wall, very old technique that is not even imaging much for you. So what I think we need to do, and I think the speaker mentioned it around collaboration, is to also check where are the marginal operators around. Can we jointly mobilize a vessel, for example, for seismic? Pay the same mobilization cost, bring them and do focused seismic acquisition, either streamer or whatever technology you want to apply. I can tell you that the value you get from that seismic, beyond even looking for where to drill, would even include increasing the value for potential investors. And even when you're seeking for funding, by the time, maybe when you took the marginal field, you think the reserve is maybe 5 million barrels. By the time you shoot that seismic, you'll be surprised that that could easily double from 5 million to 10 million. So the money you spent acquiring that seismic is going to be a peanut compared to the production you get at the price of oil price today. So I want to challenge also marginal field operators to also think beyond just that reentry. And it's a case of the two. Like you said, yes, is it a new drill or reentry? I think it's both. Because you have to still re-enter the old well, do exactly what you're doing, but by the time you have that new data, then you can expand to even do a new well drilling. Now, the last point I want to make is also to challenge the marginal field operators and those that own it, to also think the full picture, look at the full value chain. Now, I want to touch on those that they feel that probably we are left because they were producing low volume. So maybe the IOC, they produce the big volume, now it's doing like 1,000, 2,000, or 500, which is peanut for them. What I think the marginal field operators can also do is to think about, now we're talking about energy transition, but there is still value to use some of those depleted reservoirs as storage for captured CO2 in the future. And they can use it for business, right? So you do whatever you want to do, re-enter the well, you continue to produce, and then by the time you're done, if you've done the real reservoir work to see the storage available to capture those CO2, by the time we are mature, I know we are not yet there, by the time this country is matured for carbon capture and storage, those will be easy places you can actually capture, and anybody can come and store it, and then you collect your money and make more money. So I just wanted to just put some of these views on the table. Yeah.
Thank you very much, President. Thank you. I think a major concern for me is attitude or the value we place on some of these related things you mentioned. For instance, we've had instances where we re-enter a well and there's opportunity to run some comprehensive set of logging to narrow down the uncertainty around the oil-water contacts. But to get that to say true was a challenge because the immediate value that puts on the table for the people operating the asset, they couldn't connect to it. So when we come and start thinking, take a long-term view, look at the entire value chain, and you bring in some cost-intensive activities for them that they can't, in their head, that connect directly to production. Sometimes we have one or two of those challenges that you need to have to run, try to explain to them, bring technical people in to show the value. And sometimes you win, but very regularly, because we tend to be just production driven at this early stage, because you have the cash flow and the funding plan and all that. Sometimes we hit a brick wall. But yes, we need to look at the entire value chain and the bigger picture.
Thank you very much. My name is Chedozie. My question is, what are the processes you have taken to locate a completely abandoned well? And when I say completely, which means the wellheads cannot be easily located, especially when the host communities are not complying. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an interesting question. We should have data and information, coordinates, and all that, where these wells are located, ideally. But very regularly, we don't. I'll give you that example of the one that was buried that I showed you, which ties to the need to work very well with the local community. So when the operator we represented then approached the community, there was an elderly man that said, look, I remember when I was younger, and we used to play, that well should be around this place. Because then we used to play around it. So that narrowed down some areas, and then of course, We bring in metal detectors, to start looking at it, and then we located where it was, and it was dug up. I'll show you the neck that we met. So those challenges are there. But like I said, ideally there should be data around where they are, there should be statistics and coordinates of where they are, and working closely with the local communities, yeah, we should be able to identify most of these assets. At least narrow down some peculiar areas where they are, and then we can employ technology to help us locate them.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to add a small bit of what you are talking about. What is important also is that there is need for collaboration among the independent people working there. Because you have to understand that the marginal feeds that were initially given out by most of the multinationals were feed that they did not consider good enough in their own portfolio. So the operators, the new operators in the marginal feed, there's need for them to have a lot of collaborations and share information and data that will help you in doing your job. Because definitely among the multinationals, a lot of information are shared freely. They should develop a situation in which they also share information among themselves so that it will make your own job to be easier when you are doing it. That's just my comment.
Sorry, we have hello? We have 1.5 questions left for physical questions. Then thereafter, we go online. So, Mr. Kano of Kano will ask the first question. Then the half question will be asked by the lady around 1 o'clock from me. And thereafter, we go virtual. Thank you very much. Mr. Kano of Kano, please.
I think you are confusing my friends here. My name is Kano. I'm not from Kano. All my friends call me KK, so that's all you need to know, KK. Okay, these marginal opportunities are typically from the IOCs. What I find is once these assets have moved from the hands of the IOCs to the indigenous small companies, it tends to be difficult to go back to the IOCs or to NUPRC to get information that is critical to progressing this work. I think this is where NAPIC can come in, where NAPIC, as part of the feedback we give to our regulators, to NMPC, to the IOCs, is to say you have to work to help the small companies. Because rather than not use these marginal wells and begin to drill new wells, there's information that can be provided to these small companies that would help them go back, re-enter these wells. So I think that's part of feedback that I think NAPE needs to give to the IOCs, to NUPRC, to NMPC, to help this industry grow. Thank you. So that's not a question. So the 1.5 question is still on.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I'm going to go from a real life scenario for this question. So back when I interned, there was a situation where they had declining wells from a reservoir, about 3 declining wells. Now, originally, when the production started, the reserve was known to, or was supposed to be, for that particular reservoir, it was supposed to produce about, let's say, 5 million barrels. But after a period of time, maybe after producing about 1 million barrels, it started declining, and then it was producing more of water than oil. Let's say 70% of water and 30% oil. So since it was declining, they shut down the well for a period of time because it was affecting other wells. And after a period of 3 years, they reopened it, and it was producing about something that was producing about 3,000 barrels per day, started producing about 1,000 barrels compared to the about 100 barrels was producing before. Now, what service would you recommend that they do, since they've also tried gas lifting and other EOR, enhanced oil recovery techniques? What would you suggest for this particular situation? What can they do about those wells? Should they abandon it, or should they maybe have services like tracking or something that can help to extract oil from that particular reservoir, since they've tried all they can do and it's not working?
This is for me an RE question, so you're going to have to pay the consultant that you talk to. So Alpharetta, do you want to? She will pay you, don't worry. Yeah.
We will say, please take her name and the billing address as well. Yeah. Now, see, when you have declining wells, you have to approach it holistically. Number one, is it a reservoir issue you are having? Or mechanical issues with the wells? So, for instance, if the well started producing water more than you expected, it might not necessarily be the reservoir. For instance, your perforations, they might have been too close to your water contacts. And as you now draw down, it started coning water in and all that. So I would say the starting point is, let's try to understand what the issue is. Is it the reservoir or the well? If it's the reservoir, you need to come up with some reservoir management processes too. Do you have if it's watered, do you need water injections and all that? If it's a mechanical issue, then you can start looking at it. Do you need to do water shut-off and then reperforate in the right position away from your water contact and all that? So that's the approach that they would take, which maybe they did. But essentially, if you have the facility to handle it and the water system you're producing with it is better than zero. So if it costs you nothing significantly, yeah, and you can intervene, water shut off, reperforation, squeeze back, and sometimes choke management to monitor, to control the pressures and what have you. Yeah, so it will be depending on the specific cases.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Madam, we'll go virtual, am I correct?
Yes, so thank you everyone. So you have some questions, probably you've even answered it. You can skip that if you've already done that. So we got one from Abbas Shiroma, who is asking that what well integrity issues, corrosion, gas, etc., had to be overcome due to the long abandonment? And how challenging was data acquisition in this terrain, especially where non-existent? So that's the question from that. Do you want me to take other questions? Why?
Yeah, I can just quickly answer that. Yeah?
Okay.
Is that okay? I can quickly answer that. Yes. Funny enough, from my experience, we realized the grade of casings they've been running those days, they're actually very, very resistant to corrosions. And I think that's supported by the fact that our water beds are not saline. So some of the wells, most of the wells we've gone into, the casing integrity has been relatively very good. So we go in, clean out the well, do a case integrity log, and we've been having, the worst case we've had was maybe about 14% wear compared to the original thickness of the casing that was installed. So we normally now evaluate the minimum allowable wear or corrosion on the casing for our work. And once this is well below what is existing in the casing, we just proceed with it. So relatively, the casings are not as bad as you will have envisaged. One of the wells we entered was 40-something years old, and we have only 9% wear in the worst case. after we do our case integrity log.
Yeah, thank you. So this next question is from Aurelia Toja. Is actually commending you for your good work. So you have shown that your company is positioned to help marginal operators deliver quick value. How did you handle well integrity issues in reaching your decisions and in the well entry operations? If you have time, I'll just take the last two questions. This is from Olawumi Fasokin. It says, thanks for the insightful presentation, but the key questions are, in how did you handle integrity issues because of the aging wells, structural deformation, data information reliability, and losses? Is it possible to deploy AI, deep learning to overcome some of the data issues and data losses related to these matured wells?
Thank you very much. Let me start with well integrity issues. Yeah. So there are layers of it when you want to come into a new well. Normally we start from the wellhead. I'll show you some examples. If you are able to revamp the wellhead, if you're able to retrofit if necessary, if you're able to install it and assure its pressure integrity for service and for production, that's half of the job done. And working with the OEM and the kind of technology available it can be readily achieved. The next thing is now you enter the well itself and the casing, existing casing infrastructures. Yeah, so you assess it and make sure that the level of wear you have can still withstand your anticipated loads. And like I said, so far, we've not gone into any well where we can proceed because of case integrity issues. There can be where we have one or two cases where we envisage casing leak, but there are technology to handle casing leaks. You know, we can do patch, we can do some chemical solutions and all that. So far, we've not had any major issues. In terms of AI, I think a good use of it for me is to process and aggregate the data available for us on these wells in the Niger Delta. So if we have a big data approach to it, you know, we have a collation of all these wells and some data is available around it. So the patterns, the potential troubles to expect, easily AI can support us to filter that out. And then we can now categorize and come up with potential solutions and identify enabled technologies that can help us to address some of these risks. That's my view about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, can we clap for our presenter, panelists again? I'm sure you all agree with me that this has been an insightful session. Thank you very much. And one of our panelists is running now to catch his flight, so we really need to do all that needs to be done now quickly for him to leave. Can I have my president on the stage to make the presentation? Maybe we should start with Dr. Bernard so that he can quickly go. Please, come for you. Thank you very much for your time. President.
We have time. We'll do the group photo before you.
Yes. All right, let's do a group photo with him before he leaves.
Let me decorate him well so that
Okay.
when he's at the airport, they will know where he's coming from.
Okay. Group photo. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So please, can we give them a round of applause while they go back to their seats? All right. So we are trying as much as possible to ensure we finish early. I would like to recognize, wow, where's the paper? Please, is the paper there? Where I have we have some fellows online that joined us while the presentation was going on. We have past president, Mr. Jide Ojo. Thank you for joining. We have Dr. Adelola Adeshida, also a fellow of NAPE, joined us online. Thank you for joining. We have Dr. Wilson Osong and Dr. Abimbola Duropiton. Thanks for joining. And physically in the hall here, we have Mr. Mascot Ogunjemiyo and our own dear Vice President, Mr. Eyi Baswaye. He came all the way from Abuja, and I'm sure he came from the airport all the way here. Thank you. And we have our own Dr. Antonio Form. Thank you for joining. God bless you. So we are going into a session now. There are some very important, we are all important, but there were some people here that have done something extraordinary for NAPE, and we believe that it is right to recognize them. We have Ali Button, and the country manager is here. That's Dr. Antonio Form. They have worked, and also not only worked, devoted their time and also money to NAPE. And what did they do? They gave 51 lecturers and 51 universities petrophysics software. Not only did they give the software, they loaded it, their staff helped to load the software on their system. They also gave them 3 days training. And these 51 universities were selected from the 6 geopolitical zones. And the training were intensive, and you can imagine, you know what it is, how much it takes to buy software, and you know how much you pay for training. Ali Button did this free of charge. And I will also want us to specially appreciate our UAPC. Where is our UAPC, our UAP chairman? He has done extremely well. Okay, doctor, if you could please come here, come up here. We'll do the presentation together. He has really done extremely well. So I want us now to invite our trainers up. Please, I'm trying to get their names. So we are giving them a word of recognition and appreciation. This is coming from NAPE for their sponsorship of the UAP Train the Trainer, which held between April 3rd and 5th of year 2025. Thank you very much. So we want Mr. Henry Ezewe to come up. He was the instructor. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you. As is coming, Mr. Cornelius Animba, please come up. Mr. Cornelius. And lastly, we have to invite our own dear Dr. Antonio from FNAPI. Without your support, this wouldn't have happened because he's the country manager of Aliboti Nigeria. Thank you very much. Can you come back? So we'll just have another picture. Because the first picture we took, it was as if it was being presented to me. Yeah. Yes, because he stayed there. Yeah. Thank you very much. No, him. Henry. Thank you very much. And I will now call our PS. Come and give the announcement before I come back for vote of thanks. We are gradually getting to the end.
Thank you, P. Okay, so I'll run through the announcements, what we have currently ongoing, the ones that are upcoming as well. Okay, so for the technical business meeting for this month, April. Okay, so now we're going to 2 states, to Edo in red and River State. So if you go to the next slide. And so the first one will be on the 24th of April, where Billing Chapter will be hosting us on the topic, the impact of big data technologies on geoscience workspace. So that'll come up on the 24th. For that course, we then follow on April 29th. The topic is a novel technique for predicting false positive AVOs, a rock physics and seismic inversion-based approach applied in the Niger Delta. So that'll come up on the 29th of April. Okay, so we're still calling for sponsorship for subsequent technical business meetings. So we still advocating for people or companies to sponsor our technical business meetings. Go to the next slide. So for any further inquiries with regards to sponsorship opportunities, please contact the President-elect, Mrs. Olajumoke Ajayi, or Lawrence Osuago. Their contact details is as shown on the screen. Next slide. Okay, so a lot of things are going on simultaneously. We are currently hiring for a position, the head of administration position for our association. Key thing to note is that there are some responsibilities that need to be noted while you're sending in your application. Okay, so all of these details is in the flyer. We've sent it out before. We'll also send out a reminder towards the end date for this. Next slide. This is another one that is going. We have opportunities for research to sponsor research for our lecturers and graduate assistants. So we have a deadline for this, okay? So take advantage of it. Send in your proposal on or before July 30th or so. Yeah, so this is ongoing. It's a good initiative from us, so take advantage of it. Next slide. There is also mentoring circle opportunities. This is coming from the Office of the Vice President, so let's please take advantage of it. Are you in early or mid-career and you want to advance your career? We have enroll as a mentee. We have a deadline for 22nd April, so, and then we have a cap for it. So send in your applications before that deadline. The people to inquire was listed on the flyer. Next slide, please. Basing evaluation here, you know we're ramping up for our November annual international conference. Basing evaluation is one competition that we run. It's now open for schools to register. The deadline to note is 16th of May. Okay, next slide. Election. As we all know, we've posted this earlier. We are calling for nominations for key positions for NAPE. So you can go ahead and nominate yourself or for the positions that we have advertised. Next slide, please. Okay, we've seen this before. This is showing us the theme for the conference, Revitalizing the Nigerian Petroleum Exploration and Production Strategies for Energy Security and Sustainable Development. As we know, our conference is planned for 9th to 13th of November, 2025. It's going to be happening here as usual. So just for you to note. Next slide, please. Call for registration is ongoing. Remember, we have early bird registration that will end by September 1st. After that, the money will go up. So please take advantage of this. Sponsorship opportunities, we are also advocating for that. Inquiries, if you want to take part in sponsoring any of the sub-activities for the conference. Next slide. Call for abstracts is also ongoing. We have a deadline for that. We have a deadline 31st of July for the abstract submission. So go ahead and submit your abstracts. Next slide. Okay, so this one is recurrent. Payment of dues. Please, 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 go ahead and make your payment, renew your membership, so you can get all of the benefits, right, that the association is offering. Next slide. This is a big one. I've been mentioning it, NAPE at 50. We finally have our theme unveiled for this event that is coming up, right? So the theme is NAPE at 50, pioneering the future of energy in Africa. It's going to be big. It's going to happen in a day, but it's loaded with events that we are building up. So as we progress, all of that will play up. But this is just for your information that mark your calendar. We are turning 50, and we are going to be celebrating that day. Next slide. Okay, as we all know, for some of us, our website, we've been having issues. It's just for your information that work is ongoing to resolve these issues. and we hope that we are close to finalizing the issues. However, we've had workarounds in terms of membership registration that you can now do. Initially, we couldn't do that. So all of that is a work in progress, and we hope to conclude all of that so that we have a seamless registration for our conference and other things. But in the meantime, please keep using the alternative method that we've provided to register for the conference. We'll still share that information after this discussion. Yeah, so next slide. I think that's it. Thank you so much for your presence. If you have any further questions, you can always reach out to any member of the Secretariat and all that. Yeah, I think I'll just give information on the launch, except you want to say.
Okay. All right, thank you, PS. So we are gradually coming to the end of the program. So thank you very much, everyone, for making time to attend the technical meeting of this month. And my thanks goes to those online and those who are physically here. I thank our past presidents, our Aretadam awardees, and the fellows, and everyone who have made time to attend today's business session. I also thank our sponsors. Thank you very much for sponsoring today's event. Not only sponsoring our launch, you also made the presentation, and it was a well-presented paper. Thank you very much. So let's now, the next item on the agenda is menu. Let's now go for our lunch. It is buffet, and our PS will direct you on how to go.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you, P. Yeah. Okay. So for lunch, for proper planning and organization, fellows and dignitaries, and I think our sponsors. That's your the serving point for you for your lunch. And then every other guest, use this on my right and this other place on my left. Okay, thank you. Bon appetit. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Okay, well done. Nice one. Normally use that place.